Hello everyone, my name is Purvvi Bagariaa and I am an early years educationist and a consultant. I set up preschools and early years curriculums. I am passionate about childhood education, particularly play-based approach, and I love the power of play in learning. So let me begin with my presentation on incorporating play-based learning in early years curriculum, cultivating a love of learning in preschoolers through play-based approach. As Lev Vygotsky, the renowned psychologist, once said, the only good kind of teaching is the kind that leads to learning. We want to cultivate the love of learning in our preschoolers because this intrinsic motivation sets the stage for every child on a path of lifelong success. They are curious, they want to ask questions, and it fuels a desire for them to explore and keep growing. Now, what is play-based learning? Play-based learning is allowing a child to be good at what they do the best, that is play. So when we incorporate play in learning, it is going to be child-directed and initiated, process-oriented rather than product-oriented. So we are more interested in how a child takes to the particular kind of play rather than the play that we have set up. It is going to be, I'm going to explain how you set up play-based centers in a classroom. And we are not focused on the end product. That is not something that play-based learning is all about. Play-based learning is holistic development, so this takes care of the cognitive, social, emotional, and the physical development of a child. And this is all round. This looks into an overall development of a child. Um, this approach is also supportive and responsive. Uh, and the environment that is made is going to be conducive to allowing a child to feel comfortable and feel supported so they can respond in a manner that we would desire. And of course, play is open ended. Now, a lot of times we will face an issue where I'm sure I will get questions that will ask me is how good is open ended, or how do we allow open ended without a specific learning goal in the end? It can all be brought together. So the only, like I mentioned, the only good kind of teaching is the kind that leads to learning. So children learn by doing, and that is exactly what play-based learning is all about. Now, what is the power of play? The power of play. Now, this is important because this leads to a child being intrinsically motivated and to learn, to play, to be a part of the learning in the class, and also loves the process of learning. And this also goes beyond classroom. So when we say it goes beyond classroom, they do go talk about it. And we do see when a child goes and talks about his learning to a parent, it is also retaining in their mind. So that is what play does for the kids. And looking at active participation in the learning, it is fun. They will want to be a part of it. Now, creating a safe space for learning. This is very vital for the educators to understand that once a child feels secured in a class, in an environment, they will try new things. And when you allow them to make mistakes, they are going to learn from their mistakes and progress further in their learning. And when we make mistakes, we learn from them. Similar goes to children as well. Now, as this has already been mentioned, play leads to a child's cognitive development along with the social, emotional, and physical. So play can be done in various ways, and I am going to mention that in the later slides. And this exactly deals with how play can nurture a child's cognitive, social, emotional, and physical development. Now, if you look at this picture on the types of play of children, now this is very important because if you look at each and every child, this is going to this encapsulates how play progresses. So if you look at the unoccupied play, this is for a baby who is getting used to the stimuli around, who's getting used to the new environment around them. and very less stimuli is enough for them to play. Looking at their hands, for example, that is unoccupied. They may not even need someone to play at that time, because they are discovering new things like their fingers, or their nails, or the mother's face. This is all unoccupied play. Now moving on to solitary play. This is for the months 3 months to 3 months to 2 years, where you have seen children playing alone. They want to play alone with their toys, with their blocks, with their books, and of course with an adult around, because that makes them secure and feel secure and safe. So that is solitary for you. And now then we look at onlooker play, which is also when a child is looking at someone. Now we do say children are great observers. So this is where the observations, I won't say starts, but I mean, plays a bigger role, where children are taking the environment in and making connections. So an onlooker play is also a very important part of play. Now, then they progress on to parallel play, when two children do not want to share their toys, but they want to play together with their own toys. This is a perfect way to understand, if a child, if two, if this is a perfect way to children to socialize from the beginning. So because they want to play together, yet not play with the same toys at the same time, and that's called parallel play. Now coming to associative play, as you look at it, they are communicating. The boy is communicating with the girl for a block. Or maybe, yeah, I think I understand it as a block, or maybe it is open to interpretation, but there is communication between the two children. So that is, they are making associations between themselves. Hence, this is associative play. Now, next is cooperative play. They want to play games together. They want to run. They want to hold hands. They want to also build structures together. So a preschool play is ideally between, when I take nursery into factor, but if I do take a pre-nursery, that is from 2 years, yes, we could take it from onlooker play. But if we do take nursery, it is a transition from associative play to cooperative. So associative is some communication between the children, right from totally cooperating and playing together with shared resources. This is how play evolves across the age groups. Now, this is how do you make play work? Now, play is going to be successful in a classroom setting when you make meaningful connections. And meaningful connections is something that is developed when there is something that a child can relate to. So playful learning doesn't equate to random play. And it means meaningful activities should connect to the child's prior knowledge, and then how they apply the prior knowledge to real life applications, and then let them apply the knowledge that could be new knowledge that the teacher has given into open-ended exploration. So let me just expand on this. For a play to be for to incorporate play, the first thing we need to look at is what does a child already know and what are their interests. So once we work on the interests, we've already taken the child's attention, and then we build on the prior knowledge, and this builds a sense of connection, helps them make new connections, and they makes them open to existing, and then slowly opens them to new knowledge. The minute they are comfortable, they're like, oh, you know what, I know, I like, oh, she asked me a question I knew, and I'm really enjoying this. I'm enjoying this because I know the answers. Then we can also connect them to practical real life scenarios, and also add in some more information where the children will soak it in, and then they can use it in open-ended exploration. So let me give you an example, a very simple example on, let's say, grocery shopping, for example. So you build on, does mama, where does your bread come from? For example, we have heard this before when we asked like when I asked my my class, okay, so where do eggs come from? They're like, it comes from the grocery store. And they were not wrong. It's a perfectly correct answer, because for a child, they haven't seen a farm. So, okay, so then we were like, perfectly great, like it comes from a grocery store. Now, what happens? So you're building on the prior knowledge, you're not taking them back to a farm yet. You're carrying on with the prior knowledge that is a grocery store. And then you're going to be like, okay, have you seen one around in your neighborhood? They're like, yes, we have two. And the names, it could be ABC Mart or whatever it is. And then you're like, okay, what else do you get in the mart? And then they will, oh, we get chocolates, we get bread, we get milk, we get curd, and this is something they have seen. So they have made playful connections to things around them and they get very excited. So then, yes, of course, you must have made a farm related activity. So then you can take them back. Okay, now fine, you get eggs from the farm. Sorry, you get eggs. Sorry, I'm very sorry. You get eggs from from the grocery store. So where do you think these eggs come from? So now the knowledge bit starts. So when you also, if you just want to leave it at that question, and then you give them a farm setup, they will make the connection on their own, so you can just make a small farm set up with a chicken, with an egg, and you don't have to explain it to them because you've left it open ended. So the children will make connection, like, okay, a hen lays an egg and the egg comes to the grocery store, and that's how we get eggs in our house. So I'm just giving you how they make playful, meaningful connections. So you can also take the play from, this is a topic that can be taken in various ways where you can integrate it in different formats of your learning outcomes. So I'm just giving you one, for example, and another one I'm sure you can come up with immediately is them visiting a grocery store, where you don't want to take them to a farm, but take them forward to a grocery store. So math can come in, literacy can come in, the social settings can come in. Social, and you can take it forward from that particular play question that you have asked. So what do we keep in mind while making a play-based curriculum? It's very simple. We all have our learning outcomes for nursery, for the age groups, which are specific to age groups. We link it to the educational goals along with the milestones. And I think anybody who has worked in making curriculums or even executing curriculums, there's one thing that is intrinsic to all of us, that we know the milestones of a child coming into a nursery class or a PP1 or a PP2. So hence we know the social, emotional, physical, cognitive milestones. And that is also linked to our learning goals or the educational goals. Now, keeping that in mind, when you look for quality play opportunities, for example, colors, for, if you want to give them play opportunities for colors, mixing, for example, give them all the three basic colors, let them mix it open-ended. And then you ask them, oh, you made a new color. What could this color be? So that is quality play opportunities to dwell into your educational goals, and with the help of their milestones. And of course, like I mentioned in the previous slide, your curriculum has to be responsive to the child's learning and their response to the stimuli that you have provided during the play-based learning, and it also has to be flexible. So please don't worry. There are times when a lesson plan just does not go the way it does, but there is always something to take away from on what the child has learned, and this is all based on your learning, on your observations on what the child is doing. So, oh, wait, sorry. So this is planning and assessing a play-based curriculum. So like we discussed the previous slide, planning, aligning play with learning goals and standards or the milestones. Then it's observation and documentation. So here we are already, I didn't want to put the step where you're implementing the lesson plan into a reality with the kids in the classroom. So then we have observation and documentation, where we use various methods to capture. So the best way to capture is anecdotal, where you are asking them questions, you're recording it on a recording device, or you're taking pictures or videos. That is one way to understand what have they learned. So, and also asking questions is the biggest form of observation. What are you doing? Are you having fun? I mean, I see you are mixing this. What happens later? So everything is open-ended. Nothing is close-ended. All the questions. Then we have assessment tools. So assessment tools are of various kinds. I think we all know what they are. That is anecdotal records. In play, anecdotal check. Anecdotal, I think, is the easiest way for the first line of observation, where we just write all the anecdotes. And then we could possibly understand, ki, okay, from the anecdotes of a checklist, if they have covered the check, the learning outcomes in a checklist, then a portfolio is made based on a rubric. So it is very simple to do it once you have understood how to direct your learning outcomes uh, in a play-based learning approach. Then, of course, parents play a very important role in sharing assessment, because um, I think in every play-based approach, we do want parents to be an active participant to their uh, learning. So, building partnerships and communicating the progress with the parents is a very big part of play-based curriculum. Now, as educators, what is our role? We are observers. Of course, we are planners. I mean, it's a very obvious part of our role is planning and setting up a classroom in a way that propagates play. And but we are observers. We are documenting, children's play and learning. We support, we encourage, we help them in the exploration and answer all the questions, and also provide them stimuli for the curiosity and build it even more, lead it. Then we are challengers. We extend children's thinking and problem solving. It's as simple as giving them a puzzle, and once they complete it, they ask them, okay, what does the puzzle mean? And it could mean, we could talk about as simple as a number 2 has been written. So then if these are PP2 kids and you're like, okay, so so then we're looking at addition or subtraction. So it's very simple. Like if you could start off, like give them two, maybe just ask them, I have two missing I'm looking for two missing things in my class. Could you help me find it with the help of simple clues? So that is thinking and problem solving, and getting the children to talk as to what does number 2 or number 4 mean. Like up to you, it's totally up to you how you use a puzzle, or even making it together and making a story, for example, with blocks. Put the pictures together, and then you're like, okay, let's make a story out of it in whatever order. So that propagates communication, that propagates confidence, public speaking. And there are so many thinking, of course, also there are so many skills that a child develops in just telling a story based on a puzzle, or maybe pictures that you have given them, where they can make their own uh, sequence of sequence of a story based on the pictures. Then we are collaborators working with children to create shared experiences. So what are shared experiences? I think in a classroom, we share a space, we share an experience, we share play as well. And I think that makes play even more fun once we are collaborators in the process. Okay, so this is a very important aspect, and I wanted to bring to the fore Reggio Emilia approach. The reason is, in Reggio Emilia, environment is also called the third teacher, and rightly so, because for play, environment plays a very important role. And the reason is it makes a child comfortable, and it helps them open up and respond to stimuli effectively. So make the environment warm and welcoming, aesthetically pleasing, then embraces nature, the notes. Now it's totally, this is something that Reggio Emilia encapsulates. It's not something that you have to do it, but I'm just listing what philosophy called Reggio Emilia considers. And display the child's work. Nothing makes a child happier than seeing their work on display, and that too in a classroom by their role model, who is a teacher. So display your students' work. They love it. Then purposeful materials, open-ended materials. So have rice, and you can have scooping. You can keep changing it. So you can have blocks with the rice. You can have scooping mechanism. You can have the scooping spoons with a bowl. They'll understand what to do. Place a cup with a spoon. They'll know they have to transfer it. If you use it in another way, a bottle maybe, they'll use it in a different way. So keep it open-ended. Now, a learning center was something I was talking about, making this and placing it around the classroom with which works on the different learning areas, is going to help a child ease into the environment. So dramatic play, blocks, art, sensory. It is very important to have a variety of learning centers in a classroom. Now, natural light ventilation, I think children respond best to good light and great ventilation, nice air, ventilation, and a flexible and adaptable space. So children cannot sit on a desk all day long. So please do ensure that the desks can be moved, the space can be used, or push it to a corner, use the L shape in a room, totally up to you. But if there are movable furniture in the classroom, it works very well in a play-based learning because it is easier for a child to move around and also for you to plan your, like it could be a small gross motor activity and you need the space, you can just shift all the furniture and use it as a gross motor activity. For example, just going and looking at you just want a child to go touch the letter towards the end of the class that's placed at the end of the class, and you're like, okay, look at the letter A. Okay, I'm looking at the ending sound in this, and look at the word that has the ending sound So there are three words. All they have to do, run to the words, read it, and come back, or maybe just pick up the card and bring it back. They enjoy it. It's a very simple activity, but that is also play based. Now, the layout of the environment promotes relationships, communications, collaboration, and exploration through play. So, I mean, this was self-explanatory because we've already spoken about it. So, making small groups between children while they're playing also really helps. And then rotating the manipulatives that you have given the children, like the groups, it really helps in play as well. So, how do we promote playful and meaningful learning to create stimulating environment and activities in early childhood education? Now, this is very important according to me because it just makes your planning of a play-based curriculum very easy once you have understood how to make a stimulating environment. So organize the personal space to encourage exploration, even a board with something new, even textures, for example, if you put it on, like place it on top of a board, which is vertical, against a wall, it really works well. So children can touch it, feel it, and talk about it. Of course, a teacher has to understand that anything that has been put as a stimuli only works on prior knowledge. So when you talk about touch, then you take them to, then you talk about texture, what is soft, and make them touch it. So play is something that, take them through it and then let them, after that they could have a sensory activity with foam or Play-Doh or even with slime or with cornflour slurry. It works very well because you have taken them through prior knowledge and you're letting them explore. So organizing the space in such a way. So I've used a wall, I've also used a tub, and you could also use other mediums of making the space more exploratory and allows movement. Now, proposing challenging and motivating activities, I think this is very important because children love challenges in a way that they can handle it very slowly, but they do enjoy it. So maybe a jumping activity, nowadays a lot of brain gym activities have come and make it playful, they will enjoy it. And then encouraging the child's active participation. You get a child's active participation when they are, so sorry about that, when they are totally you encourage the active participation when they're engaged, and engagement happens when they feel safe and they have eased into the environment. Hence it's all a circle how a child will be encouraged into active participation. Now, valuing the learning process, so valuing the process and not the end product, we're coming back to that point, and promoting social interaction between peers and the teacher as well. So this also helps in promoting playful and meaningful learning in stimulating environments.
Ms. Purvvi, because of the time constraint, ma'am, I had to remind you.
Sure, thank you. I'll finish it quickly.
No
So, how do we integrate play? Play can be done in many ways. dramatic play, science and exploration, music and movement, art play, and sensory play. And there are numerous other ways of incorporating play. I've just taken five. So play can be done in various ways, and which suits your which aligns with your learning outcomes. So please do look at the different kinds of play and add it. So art can also be used for literacy. It can be used for um, social emotional development as well. Music and movement as well can be also used for numeracy and also literacy. So please do go through the different kinds of play. There are many more kinds of play. Please do look at it and align them with your learning outcomes. Now, most important challenges in play-based learning: time constraint, rigorous curriculum demands, and assessment requirements does not allow a teacher to dwell fully into play-based learning. Now, the next is parental expectations. Some parents may prioritize academic skills over play, leading to pressure to focus on structured learning activities. If you can work on incorporating play on a daily basis as a part of your curriculum and also show the outcomes to a parent, then the expectations have been met. Now, integration. Now, integrating play with the learning areas, for example, that is numeracy, literacy, gross motor, fine motor. How do you incorporate play in these learning areas is something that that the right mix, finding the right mix between child-initiated play and teacher-directed learning can be challenging. So once you've cracked it, crack the code of integration and also integration between the subjects, if you can, learning areas, I'm sorry, that also makes it a very successful play-based learning. Now, solutions is creating play-based learning centers and dramatic play blocks, even books. That is one way. Then using manipulatives during learning, so Play-Doh, so they can squish the letters to spell words like act. So to spell words, we could use Play-Doh or Legos to count. Then take play breaks. When they want a break, they can go to a corner of a class and take a break. They are playing and taking a break. There are no instructions. They can do as they want during this break. Now change the environment. You can have outdoors also. You can have another classroom, and children do enjoy it because they are like, oh, we're not using our classroom. So changing environment also helps in getting active participation from the children. Now, creative play, this is the last slide, but I do want to talk about it. Creative play is expressed when children use familiar materials in a new and unusual way. Open-ended play is also creative play, when children are engaged in role-playing and imaginative play. Sometimes you can just leave a box with a lot of blocks, and you'll be amazed at what they can do. Nothing reinforces the creative spirit and nourishes a child's soul more than providing large blocks of time to engage in spontaneous self-directed play throughout the day. So this is something we definitely tell the parents that they could also do this. So partners in learning, parents can also be a part of this large blocks of time, and self-directed play is something that they can encourage their children to inculcate and also encourage. Now, this is the last picture. I wanted to tell you that all we did was give them some starlings. This was a bunch of, these are PP2 children, 5 to 6 years. And this room was called the playroom. So children knew when once they wanted a break, they could come to this room, do as they please. And I got various, it seemed like a very simple structure, but what impressed me was 6 children made this structure and it looks like a perfect pyramid. And what I also liked was the interpretation every child had. They made it together, but every child had their different story. It's a mountain, this is a creeper, this is a volcano. And uh, it may not be perfect to us, but in my mind, it was, and for the kids, for the children, it was perfect in their mind. So this is what play can achieve. It allowed them to communicate. They shared how happy they were, happy and proud they were with their creation, and they did it all in a group. So cooperation also came into play here. So sharing my last picture to show a real-time image of children cooperating, making something and communicating it effectively. Uh, when we had given them play breaks. So this is what play can achieve. And this was also what they were saying related to the discussions we had in class. Hence the mountain. One even said triangle. So there is a lot of they went back to the classes and they were retelling what they learned. So it also was very nice to hear all the responses from the group of children who made this beautiful structure. So I'm done with my presentation, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Miss Purvi. Such a beautiful slide to end with. And it is indeed a beautiful creation by the little ones. Yeah, if you can stop sharing your screen.
Just a second. Okay. Yeah.
Yes. So, since like you have covered, in fact, everything, the questions I have prepared, everything is covered. And since we don't have, any audience in the meeting, I'll just ask one question to end with. So,
Okay.
what role do parents and families play in enhancing the impact of play-based learning at home, ma'am?
Okay, so at home, or would you want them to participate in school as well?
At home.
Okay, at home, I have told, like this was during the COVID times when, parents were with younger children around 1 to 3 years, and they were really concerned as to my children aren't going to start school very soon. So what should I do? So I tell them, give them all the steel utensils, and under supervision, give them Play-Doh and some rice, and or maybe just utensils, and you will be amazed what children will do. So, okay, if you don't want to use utensils, give them blocks, give them, child safe play manipulatives. It is, children will amaze you on how they will use it. Give them time. You don't have to micro direct them. Just get them safe manipulatives and let them play. So sometimes children are going to be confused. So that's okay. Just sit around them. And I think the most important part, role a parent can play is, of course, providing not too many manipulators, but just a few, and sit around them. When the child asks you to play, you be the supporter. You don't be the leader where you lead the play, the child leads the play. So being around a child when they are playing, just in their circumference, is all that they need to do. And once you feel the child is very happy with what they're doing, maybe you could go after 15 minutes and ask them, okay, what are you doing? Like, this looks very interesting. Very open-ended questions. So my request to parents is, of course, provide them open-ended material. Paint, for example, of course, under adult supervision, be around at all times when they are, like, don't have to be sitting right next to them. Just be around, keep an eye on them. And secondly, spend time with them. Spend a minimum of 20 to 30 minutes every day reading a book, playing a game. Either could be open-ended or directed. Take a board game, take a simple thing, take a simple game, which you think a child, like, even opening, flashcards and looking at the pictures, or a book, and make a story out of it, like a silly story. Okay, this is a dog. What do you think the dog is doing? Conversations, building conversations. 20 minutes. That's all I can ask the parents to give their time to the children, and make it a fun, happy time for the child, and they will
Yes.
enjoy it.
Right, ma'am. So, ma'am, can you discuss any challenges or resistance you have encountered when implementing play-based learning and how you overcame them?
Challenges from my end more than
Yes.
the children. So it really had to do with me incorporating play in an effective manner rather than okay, one big challenge was, I'm not achieving my learning outcomes. So I'm trying to think of a situation where many times my learning outcomes were not achieved. But what used to happen was, when I realized over the time, when I used to give the same manipulatives to them, and I had, while closing the closing the 20 minutes, I would say them, oh, we could possibly make a chain with the flower links or something. I would realize the children had retained it and used it the next time, maybe even a week later in their play. So my learning outcome was not actually getting missed. it was just me not understanding that children do soak in. So once I let them play, they're like absolutely not doing anything what I wanted to do. But once I was like, oh, maybe you know what, and towards the end, what if we do this instead? And that comes right at the end. It's not going to take away in the open-ended learning. And yeah, I mean, it takes them to the learning process and they retain it as well. So definitely a challenge, and integrating, and also integrating subjects with play. It was also a very big challenge. But once you know how to integrate play between music and literacy, for example, I think you have cracked the code on how to incorporate play into learning.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks a lot, Ms. Purvvi. Thank you for the talk and for patiently answering all the questions. Though I want to ask you a couple of more because of the time constraint. I have to end the session, ma'am.
Yeah.
I'll stop the recording. Would you want to mention anything else, Ms. Purvvi?
Thank you for having me over, School Reformer and Miss Pravina. It was a nice giving this talk on play-based learning, and I hope I have added value to the
Of
people who
course.
watch it later. So
Hope you have enjoyed the session, ma'am, talking on our platform. Thank you.
thank you so much. Take care.